I'm David with AppliancePartsPros.com, and today we get to the nitty-gritty about direct drive versus belt drive. And by the end of this, you'll be able to look at a direct drive washer or a belt drive washer and know exactly what you're signing up for. When people say reliability, they usually mean three things. First, how often something goes wrong. Second, when it does go bad, how painful is it to fix? And third, whether the washer gives you warning signs or just stops mid-cycle and leaves you with soggy clothes. And here's the sneaky truth. On a lot of modern washers, the thing that ends up causing the most frustration isn't even the drive system. It's stuff like lid locks, control boards, drain pumps, and sensors. But the drive system still matters, because when a drive component fails, that's when the washer stops agitating or spinning. And that's a laundry is officially not getting done moment. Direct drive means the motor's power goes into the washer system without a belt in between. On many classic top-load washers, the motor connects to the transmission with a small coupler. It's basically a designed-to-break link that takes the abuse so the expensive parts don't. On many newer top-load machines, direct drive often means an inverter motor that mounts right to the tub drive system. Fewer moving parts, more electronics controlling it. So direct drive usually aims for fewer wear items, less rubber belt stretch over time, more solid connection doing the work. Belt drive is exactly what it sounds like. The motor spins, a belt transfers that motion to a pulley, and that pulley drives the transmission or the tub. And before anyone acts like belt drive is old tech, belts are still used because they're simple. They can run smoother and quieter, and they're cheap and fast to replace. A belt is also a natural shock absorber, so it can reduce harsh starts and stops. So belt drive isn't automatically less reliable, it's just a different strategy. With direct drive, the common failures depend on the style. On older direct drive top loaders with a coupler, that coupler is a big one. The washer might fill and drain fine. The motor will even run, but agitation and spin get weak or stop. The coupler is doing its job. It sacrifices itself to protect the motor and transmission. That's actually a reliability feature because it turns a potentially expensive failure into a relatively manageable one. Another wear item you'll hear about is the clutch on some designs. If the washer struggles to spin up, especially with a heavier load, the clutch can be worn. Again, it's not fun, but it's a known fixable wear part. On newer direct drive systems with inverter motors, you're trading some mechanical wear points for electronic complexity. The motor itself is often very durable, but if you end up with an issue like a motor control problem, a sensor issue, or a communication error, the repair can turn into a board replacement. That's not always cheap, and it's not always as obvious to diagnose without error codes. So direct drive reliability often looks like this. Fewer routine wear items, but when something electronic acts up, troubleshooting can be a little less straightforward. On belt drive washers, the belt is the headline item. Belts stretch, glaze, crack, slip, or pop off. If your washer agitates weakly, doesn't spin well, or you smell a hot rubber odor, the belt is immediately on the suspect list. And that sounds scary until you realize this. A belt is usually one of the easiest and least expensive drive repairs. It's also predictable. Belts don't usually fail with zero warning. You tend to get slipping, squealing, a slower spin, or inconsistent performance first. Now, belt drive systems can also have pulleys and tensioners. They can wear out, get noisy, or wobble. If you hear a rhythmic thumping or a squeal that changes with spin speed, you may be looking at a pulley or tensioner problem. The upside is you often have a very visual diagnosis. You can inspect a belt and go, yep, that's worn. That's empowering because you're not guessing. Here's where people usually get tripped up. They buy based on direct drive versus belt drive. Then the washer quits because of something totally unrelated. A washer can be direct drive and still have a lid lock that fails and stops the cycle. A washer can be belt driven and run forever, but a drain pump can clog and make it act like it has a bigger problem. So if reliability is your goal, think of drive type as one piece of the puzzle, not the whole picture. If we're talking purely about the drive mechanism, direct drive tends to have fewer wearable motion transfer parts because there's no belt to stretch or slip. That can mean less routine maintenance. But belt drive has a huge advantage in one specific area. When it does act up, it often fails in a cheaper, more do-it-yourself friendly way. A worn belt is annoying, but it's not usually a replace half the washer situation. So reliability depends on what you mean. If you want fewer wearable parts and a more set it and forget it feel, direct drive is attractive. If you want something that's often easier to diagnose and cheaper to get back running when it does slip, a belt drive is a strong choice. And no matter what you choose, don't ignore the simple stuff. Leveling the washer, not overloading it, and using the right amount of detergent does more for the real-world reliability than the drive label on the box. So when it comes to direct drive versus belt drive, neither one automatically wins. Direct drive machines usually have fewer moving parts, while belt drive machines can sometimes be easier and cheaper to repair when something does wear out. What really matters is understanding what tends to fail, how those failures show up, and how big of a repair you're looking at when they do. Because every washer will need attention eventually. The good part is, you're not guessing anymore. Now you know how each system works, what the common weak points are, and what normal wear looks like. That makes it a lot easier to choose the machine that fits how you use your washer and how you want repairs to go down the road. If this helped you sort it out, give the video a like. And if you're trying to decide between two models or your washer is already making some questionable noises, drop the model number or the symptoms in the comments and we can help point you in the right direction. And if you do end up needing parts for the repair, just use your model number at AppliancePartsPros.com. You'll find the exact part for your machine. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next video.